everyone. Welcome back to It's Deeper Than That. I'm Coreen, the founder of Inner Pattern, and today I'm so excited to welcome our guest, Thomas MacLeod.
Well, everyone, thank you for
Yay.
having me.
Cheers for Tommy. Thomas is like the first man that we have
Nice.
on the show, so I'm excited to get another perspective. I'm so grateful that you took the time to come for us.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And yeah, it's really an honor to be in the presence of, divine feminine and then add that masculine presence too. So thank you.
Yes.
Really
Aw,
appreciate it.
of course,
Yeah.
anytime. So today we're going to dive into the concept of the ego, kind of going along with like shadow work, inner child healing. It can be kind of like such a broad topic to go into, but I think we're going to talk more about our experience with it to kind of like bring it down to an understandable level. Before we get into all of that, do you want to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Thomas MacLeod, and Coreen and I met in college at LaSalle University.
Shout out LaSalle.
Go Explorers.
Never stop exploring.
Yeah. But we both were in the athletic space there. I was playing tennis and then found out about this sport called beach tennis, and that kind of got me into the wellness space. And then my family got into the cannabis industry, so then that kind of got me into the power of plant medicines and how much is out there for us to really grow and evolve our consciousness. So now I would say I'm kind of in the wellness space, still, doing athletics and just trying to understand, how can we reach our full potential and how can we show up, the best we can for our communities, our families, and our friends. So
Yeah.
I'm really honored to be here and excited to learn and keep growing.
Me too. Do you want to ask me the
Sure,
first question?
Yeah. All right, here we go. First question, drum roll. When you notice patterns that hold people back, what are some that you've seen in yourself and or others?
Such a thing that we all do is self-sabotage. And I noticed it within myself in emotional unavailability. My entire life, I've always said, like, I want a partner, I want to start a family, I want to do these things. But my actions weren't doing that. My actions were choosing unavailable partners, being in situations that didn't make me my best self. And so over like the past few years, as I've been healing, I've started to see more and more how I'm the emotionally unavailable one. And all the time I was, blaming my partner. I'm like, if he could just let me in, if he could just communicate, but I couldn't communicate. I couldn't have those hard conversations. And I noticed it after I was going through a bit of a healing period. I was like not dating anybody. And I started looking back on my conversations with like previous partners and just seeing how many times they were asking me to communicate. They were like, I can tell something's wrong. Let's talk about it. Let's work through it. And I was like, no, if you don't know what's wrong, then, that's your fault. And it's just so crazy. Like now having the tools that I have, and I'm like, it was right there. That's the moment where you communicate, where you say, this is what's upsetting me. And if the partner can't meet you there, then that's a different thing. But if you never give yourself the opportunity to try, then you're holding yourself back. So it's something that I'm still working through, but I at least have the awareness now. And I feel like it continues to come in waves as healing does, and a new layer comes up, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Let me now, find a new path. But it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, and I appreciate, you sharing that because, we've all gone through difficult times and, journeys where we don't see the connections and why isn't our life fitting together? Why isn't the puzzle, completing itself? And it really is a chance for us to go inward and ask, what is it in me that I'm projecting out onto others? And that's really good self-awareness from you to recognize that. And yeah, just really having that high emotional intelligence to understand, the law of attraction, and what you're putting out there, you get back. So if you don't
Yeah.
like what you're putting out there or what you're receiving, then something inside you needs to be excavated and kind of shifted, and just, changing that perspective and that dynamic will create different outcomes, and
Hmm.
can tell you're on a much better trajectory, and that awareness is key. And, learn from our errors and our ways,
Yeah.
because there's a great life out there for you. It's just, you got to do the work and receive, allow the good things to come through, and trust
Yeah.
that law of attraction.
And I think that's why it's important to have these conversations because, like
Hmm.
you said, we've both made a lot of mistakes. We're in our 30s now, so
Yeah.
we've been living, and like if we don't have these conversations, then we can't learn from each other. We can't help others grow. I read one time that the concept of expanders and how people expand your life and give you a new worldview. And that's why I feel so passionate about it's deeper than that and the work that we do because I'm sure there are other Latinas out there, there are other men out there
Hmm.
who, want to talk about these things, but we don't have the tools yet.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, like creating spaces where people feel safe, protected, loved, to be vulnerable, and to really put themselves out there, because that's really important. That's where the growth happens. And if you keep your story inside you, how does it evolve? How does it
Mhm.
grow? If it's within you and you don't share it with the world. Everybody is unique and has their own perspective. So, everybody needs to share their light and shine
Yeah.
in the world. So, doing things like this, talking and creating those spaces is super important for us and for the generations to come.
Yeah, totally. Round two. So, what advice would you give somebody to who is new to this work?
That's a great question. So the first thing I would have them do is, take a really big inhale where it's like they're feeling the breath go from the stomach all the way up to their chest. Hold that as long as you can, could be 3 seconds, 4 seconds, then hold that breath 3 to 4 seconds, exhale 3 to 4 seconds, and then start that process again. And this is just box breathing.
Hmm.
But every inhale, I would tell them, inhale so much confidence, so much certainty. And then every exhale, just all that doubt, all that uncertainty gone.
Hmm.
And through this process of doing the box breathing, just a couple minutes, you can start to see signs of regulation of the nervous system. And then when you're calm, then you can start to decipher, okay, like what's going on here? Like, what do I need to do to get, maximum results of the life you want to live?
Hmm.
And I think the first step is regulating that nervous system and, taking some breaths and, calming down. Because we live in a society of, instant gratification. I need this right away. I have to be, our whole days are structured out. And
Hmm.
where are we taking time, to sit in stillness, to fika, to just take time to listen.
Right.
So I think that would be the first call to action. And then after doing that for a little bit, maybe some journaling, just kind of
Hmm.
write down your thoughts a little bit. There's a lot of power in writing things down and kind of expressing that out. Those are just two little steps.
And they're both free.
Exactly, yeah. So,
Love that.
yeah, and just kind of get going on that process.
Hmm.
But keeping it simple, I think at the start is good,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of techniques, as you get into it. But I would just keep it simple to start, and
Right.
then just get yourself on a good path and focus on those good feeling thoughts.
It's learning to take that pause to breathe, right? Like in the moment when something happens and you're triggered and you're like, I just want to lash out. And you're like, okay, I feel it coming up. The goal isn't to never feel that. The goal
Exactly.
is to be able to be okay with it and to not, freak out, not have
Hmm.
it fully affect your life. So I think that was the first step for me was to be like, okay, I'm feeling really frustrated right now and I want to lash out on this person. What can I do instead? And I think like breathing is
Mm-hmm.
the perfect thing to do because, like I said, it's free, it's in the moment. You don't need anything. You can just take a step, go to the bathroom, do anything, and just sit with it, And from there, people are like, okay, I sit with it. And then what? Now I'm just mad. And it's like, just be mad for a minute. Feel it out, let it happen. Not with like freaking out on the person, but it's okay to be upset.
Yeah, and with anger, it's okay to feel that emotion. A good technique I use with the sport with play beach tennis. So I have a racket in my hand, but you could use anything, a frying pan, just something in your hand. And what you do is you hold the racket, the pan as tight as you possibly can, right? You squeeze all that anger into that
Mm.
and you hold it and then you let it go, right?
Mhm.
And then through that progressive muscle relaxation of holding really tight and then letting go, you're able to kind of release that energy a little bit. And this technique again costs nothing, right?
Mhm.
And it's just a simple way to kind of let that energy out in a more positive way than lashing out at the other, which we know from the oneness, when we lash out at the others, it's really lashing out at ourselves, right? Because
Mhm.
how we treat others is a direct correlation to how we treat ourselves. So
Yeah.
that's another good one to test out,
I love
for a
that.
start.
Have you ever seen Tangled, the movie Tangled?
No.
Oh my god. It's so like she's like a Disney princess and
Uh-huh.
her weapon is a frying pan.
Oh,
And
cool.
she like whips it around. It's like such a funny joke in the movie. So use your frying pans. They're good
Yeah.
for everything.
There you go. Yeah.
You'll have to watch it. It's
Yeah.
really funny.
Film your frying pan progressive muscle relaxations. Let's see.
Tag us in
Yeah.
it.
Calming that nervous system.
I'm dead. That is so funny. All right, I love this. Well, I just reached for it. So, what is your favorite thing for your inner child to do?
It's a good one. So, actually, I was talking with my trainer about this one. I always do like a warm up before, I do my conditioning or do my strength training. And one of the exercises is skipping. And it's like my inner child is like right back with me. Like I'm doing the warm up and I see a skip and I'm like, let's go. And I'm just skipping
It's
down the
so cute.
hallway and it's like the exercise almost doesn't even happen because I'm having so much fun doing it. I'm like, wow, it's like it's so nice because, it's you're not running, you're not walking, you're just skipping and it's like I feel like I'm really making my inner child happy, just skipping around and then
Yeah,
it leads me into the next exercise and I just feel a lot more energy after doing it and really freeing, and
yeah.
I think that's what it means to love our inner child when you get those moments of bliss and joy and freedom. It's like
Hmm.
really follow that. So I'm grateful for my trainer and I'm grateful, for skipping.
I love that. That is so cute. And I love that it's a part of your like fitness routine.
Yeah, I mean, definitely doing the inner child work with you and realizing it's important to take the time, what would my inner child want to do today and making sure I suffice him and make sure he's happy because if you're neglecting your inner child or not
Hmm.
really listening, that's when difficult patterns can come up or
Hmm.
choices that aren't really aligned with your purpose here. So really listening to that,
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm grateful.
that's a great one.
What about you?
Hmm. I like to sing and dance.
Nice. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one
I
too.
like put on a playlist and do like 2000 classics and just like pretend I'm Britney
Let's
Spears.
get
And it
Britney's
is
back.
so, yes, literally like routines. I don't even know the routines, but in my mind, I am Britney.
You're doing it.
And it's so fun. I feel like when I let myself get into that energy, which is a lot more often now, I just feel so great after. I'm
Yeah.
like, I just performed a show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Bob is like sick of me. Bob's like, here she goes again. But I have a great time. So it's
No,
fine.
maybe the challenge too is at least 10 to 15 minutes a day doing something your inner child would love to do.
Yeah.
Even Bob, his inner puppy, tap
Hmm.
into little Bobby.
We're gonna do some inner child healing with Bob. See
Yeah,
what he really is looking
inner puppy.
for.
My turn.
Your turn.
All
Go
right,
for it.
here we go. What practices and tools support you in coming back to presence when those old patterns creep in?
Mm.
That's a good one.
Hmm.
I would say definitely having people around you that hold you accountable. Definitely, my sports psychologist, the trainer, my family, my friends. If I'm out of whack, they'll call me out on that. And I really appreciate, them, having that respect for me and, knowing that I have people around me that are like, hey, you're not really acting aligned with,
Hmm.
how you really are as a person. What's up? And
Hmm.
I think having people around you that you can go to is big. And, if you don't have those people around you, try and, look for, you know, sources for that
Yeah.
because it's important to have that accountability. The old me was like, oh, I'm strong, I'm tough, I can do it alone. And you get to the point where you're like, I need help, and
Hmm.
it's okay to ask for help and then be vulnerable in that because we don't do it alone. We're in this together and team. Everyone together, everyone achieves more. So I think that's big. And yeah, like practicing, the breathing, um, the progressive muscle relaxation, different techniques help. But I think
Hmm.
if I'm really out of whack, it's having that accountability
Yeah.
that really brings me back because, I want to be a light to the people around me. I don't want to, dim their light or, bring them down. I'm here to uplift people and
Yeah.
having that reminder is big.
I love that. I think accountability is so important and also having trusted people that can bring that accountability to you. Um, I totally agree. I feel the same way. Like last week specifically, I was going through it. I was having a meltdown and I reached out to you.
Yeah.
I reached out to my business partner. I had like a team ready
Yeah.
and everybody kind of like poured in the way that they could. And I remember feeling so grateful in that moment, even though I was, spiraling in my mind. I already had people that I knew would show up for me, would be there, would hold space, would help hold me accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And within like an hour and a half, I was totally fine. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm good. I cried it out, I felt it out, I went off, and now I can move forward, which, like I said earlier, the goal is never to just like all of a sudden I'm like, nothing ever bothers me and I'm just so happy 24/7.
Yeah.
It's like when life's challenges come up, how grounded and steady can I remain?
Yeah. And I think that's the gift of the human experience. It's our divinity to, fall from grace and then pick ourselves back up and keep going. It's like we can do all the affirmations, all the self-help work, all the self-care. And sometimes it's a tough day, right? Or, you're going through a lot. The best advice sometimes too is just take a nap or go to sleep, right? Because then you
Mhm.
stop the thought loop and you're able to kind of reset. And then you wake up, okay, I'm in a different space. Let me apologize to the people I might have yelled at. And then you can start anew. And
Right.
that's what's great about each breath, each moment is a new moment. And, all you have is right now. And right here. So, what you do with right now is what matters. You're not your past. The
Mhm.
future is never arrives. It's just the presence we have. So
Yeah.
having grace for ourselves if we do fall, and
Yeah.
knowing we're not alone, like other people will help pick us up,
Mhm.
and there's people around that love and support us and we got angels with us.
Yes. Always.
Yeah.
I love what you said about like stopping the thought loop. I feel like that's something important that we may not fully be able to recognize sometimes. Like, I think an example I like to use is around body image, right?
Mm-hmm.
So especially as women, we tend to have a lot of body things going on in our mind, and we look in the mirror and it's like, I have wrinkles, or I gained weight, or all of these things. And so when that comes up for me, I stop the thought and I'm like, okay, I'm going to replace it with something new, with
Exactly.
something that makes me actually feel good in this moment. And sometimes people struggle with that because they're like, but I don't believe that. And that's where the work comes in, right?
Exactly. And we're the creators of our story, we're the creators of our destiny. So whatever story we're telling ourselves about how we look, how we feel, that comes true.
Hmm.
So really being aware and really loving ourselves no matter what. If you do nothing all day, you still love yourself. If you win an Emmy or, do something amazing, you still love yourself no matter what.
Hmm.
You're still enough no matter what, and you're worthy of everything no matter what, and you're worthy of forgiveness. So when you know you have all these things within you, it kind of takes that pressure off of, oh, I need to look this certain way, I need to accomplish these things, I need to have this money, or like, it doesn't matter, right? Because no matter what, you're enough. You love yourself, you
Hmm.
forgive yourself, so you're good. It's like it's very freeing and empowering. So
Very.
to feel that, it kind of takes that pressure off of that, and you can just create the life you want to live, how you want to look, how you want to feel. And it's nice to feel that empowered, and to be that powerful of a manifester.
Hmm.
It's a great responsibility, to be human and have that. But we're divine, so we have a lot of gifts.
True.
Yeah.
So true. This one. Ooh, so what led you to this path of self-inquiry and inner work?
Yeah, that's a good one. And I think, you can't go to another side of something if you don't know the other side. And I would say, hit rock bottom. I was at such a low point, and they say, like, you're never really depressed, you're distracted. And I was super distracted, with grief, with, loss, and kind of feeling like I didn't have a path. I wasn't playing much tennis. I was sad. My godparents had both passed away in like 6 month period, and I'm like kind of looking for guidance. Right? I didn't know what to kind of do with myself. And then we traveled to Aruba, and I found out about this sport, beach tennis, and I was like, yeah, like this brought me back some joy. I'm grounding in the sand. People were really nice.
Mm,
But then I still felt this sadness and kind of like anger inside me that I didn't know where it was coming from.
mhm,
And that kind of self-awareness of like what's up made me dive deeper and start, doing the therapy, doing the work, excavating, all the stuff I had inside me. And I realized, I had been putting this pressure on myself to be all these things and accomplish all these things. And I was tying all of my weight as a person into results of accomplishments, money, all these things, external validation from coaches, like bosses, and all because I didn't feel enough. I didn't feel worthy of success, and I couldn't forgive myself from past mistakes.
mhm,
And it led me to this like really sad place. And I was like, wow, I need to love myself. I need to forgive myself, forgive others, and think about the life I want to create.
mhm,
And going there was tough, right? Because it's like what you hide your whole life. You don't want people to see. You want people to see you as, this perfect person. But then you realize perfection isn't a thing we achieve. It just is. And
mhm,
we're perfect in our imperfections. And through that process, it led me to the work of like, okay, I gotta meditate. I need to calm my mind and figure out why I've been putting this pressure on myself. Who am I trying to impress? And let all that go and release the conditioning and it led me to some really great pathways. I found about cannabis, the plant medicine, and that helped me a lot, release thought patterns. I got into, a lot of meditation and breath work, and, just really being easier with myself and others. And yeah, it took a lot because, as a man, everybody's like, don't show your emotions.
Mhm.
You need to be strong. You can't be weak. And when I realized there's a lot of strength in that vulnerability, it helped me go to those places that, I was putting in the back and like, oh, I don't need that. And
Mhm.
in reality, we need to go there because that's where, a lot of gems are. And
Mhm.
it's really given me a lot of compassion for others because I'm like, okay,
Right.
we carry a lot and we don't need to necessarily carry it. So, kind of letting that go and letting God, and the process, was a lot, but I'm really glad that I went there because I found a lot of good techniques, and, everything has really been good because I feel a lot lighter. Like I don't have this weight on me of like these expectations, and it doesn't matter what I do because
Mhm.
I'm enough and I love myself, and I'm good with that. And it's like my skips are lighter, my everything is better, and I'm really happy I did that. So yeah, I definitely want to, you know, um, allow people the grace to go there and, go to the places that kind of scare you or feel foreign because
Mhm.
there's a lot of good in the unknown, and going there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. Yeah.
I mean, I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Exactly the same way where I grew up with being taught to suppress everything. Like anytime if I was feeling feelings, so I would bottle them all up
Yeah.
and then it would come out and it was like a rage. And my mom like didn't know what to do with it. She was like, just like go clean or something. Like she's like, whoa, bottle that back. And so I did for so long. And up until the point where I was like, I have almost nothing left but like rage and self hate. And I was not physically feeling good. I was in a relationship that I wasn't even happy in. I had all the right things. Like if you looked at my life, they were like, oh well, Coreen's in a relationship, she has a great job, all of these things. But I was so miserable.
Yeah.
And I had to come to the point where I was like, I have all of these great things, but I'm not happy. What's the point? Like I
Exactly.
don't get it. And I think, in like a capitalistic society, it's like, well, it's okay. Your happiness, not everybody's happy. And when I think back on that, I'm like, that's crazy. Like
Yeah.
we're really just telling people, like, well, happiness isn't everything. Like what?
To me, it is like joy is the key to life,
Yeah.
being joyful and passionate. And you touched a bit on the anger and the rage. It's like I had that, and it was all due to the fact that like I didn't see an end to the finish line. Like I would
Mhm.
win a great tournament or get an award or do something amazing, enjoy it for the picture or 2 minutes, and then be on to the next thing because
Mhm.
I was living for the external validation of like, good job, Thomas. You're a
Yeah.
good boy. You're good.
Yeah.
And it's draining because it's never enough. Like
Mhm.
nobody is going to love you as much as you love yourself.
Mhm.
And when you realize it's within you, it's the most empowering thing because you're like, wow, like I can give myself a hug. Like I
Mhm.
can love myself as much as I can. And it's the best feeling in the world to have that ability. And
Yeah.
I hope everybody feels that, because
Yes.
it's really empowering. And it was like all the anger went away because I'm like, I don't need all that. I mean, I'm going to do strive to be my best and reach my
Mhm.
potential, but no matter what,
Yeah.
it's going to be okay. So that was super helpful, letting go of
Mhm.
that. And yeah, and then you realize the world is kind of our playground to just enjoy, because when you have that self-love, it's like you have this like golden aura around you, and you're protected, you're
Mhm.
safe, you're loved, and you just create. So it's really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Is it your turn?
I think it's you.
Okay. Yay. Ooh. What helps you tell the difference between living from your ego versus living from a place of alignment and clarity?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say, like, with the ego, is definitely when, you're telling people like, hey, you need to believe this, like this
Mm,
is the way. Because anytime you're trying to tell people like, believe this, do this, I think it's kind of ego, because it's like you have a belief and you're like forcing it on them, when in reality it's like everybody has a perspective, so everybody's right. So we don't really have, right and wrong. It's just kind of like what feels good at the moment and is the path aligned
mhm.
with you at that time. Um,
I feel like you just described colonization. But go on.
yeah. And like, yeah, harmony with yourself, I think too, you know, when you're aligned, feeling good, following the joy, you're passionate, you're happy, the people around you are feeling good. And then the ego is like, oh, I need to be this, or like, you know, I think it's also that feeling of attachment. Like when we
Mhm,
are attached to something, that's what can create suffering, because it's like if you can't live without it, are you addicted to it? Like if
mhm.
you're attached to it and it gets taken away from you, that creates the suffering. And it's not to say like you can't be like going for things or really want to do things,
Mhm.
but if you are so attached to it, that's when the suffering can come in.
Right,
So
right.
trying to maybe detach from outcomes and detach from, possession of things, and just be in the moment with it and
Mhm.
enjoy it.
Yeah. I think a good example of that is like when you're in love with somebody, right? And you're like, they're the one, they're the person, and you're attached, you put everything onto them. And then something happens, or they don't meet your expectations, or they do whatever it is. And then you're like, oh, but they should love me. And why aren't they doing this? And why it's like me. But then, it's like you're saying as a person, I want love, I want to be in a healthy partnership, I want all of these things, but you're tying it directly with that person. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So I feel that that's what the way that I've been able to learn it the most is like acknowledging that yes, I deserve love and partnership, but it doesn't have to be that specific person that I thought it would have been.
exactly. It's kind of like you have a square peg and you're trying to put a circle into a square. Like you you have to kind of allow the puzzle to complete itself, like
Hmm.
find the harmony through that and not force it. Sometimes the forcing feels like it's the ego, like
Hmm.
I need this to work, or this better happen. Like
Right.
when in reality, when we let it flow and we're creating out of joy,
Hmm.
it happens harmoniously, aligned with who we truly are.
Right. I love that. Oh, the ego.
Yeah. Yeah. I sometimes think of it as it's called edging God or greatness out. So it's like
Mm,
that's the ego. Because when we allow God and greatness within us, it's like everything happens.
yeah. Like leaving room for miracles.
Exactly. All right. Last one. How does inner child healing or shadow work show up as you're noticing patterns?
Hmm. I mean, for me, inner child healing and shadow work has been like the basis of my healing so far. When I first found inner child healing, like I've been in therapy since I was like 7 years old, but it wasn't until I think I was like 29, and I found inner child healing that my world really started to shift in like huge, huge ways. And I think for me, I grew up with a single mom. So my father wasn't in our lives, and I grew up with like a lot of anger towards him, but I didn't really have the concept of like an inner child and how hurt they are, and how they internalize everything at that young age. And then on another level, that our subconscious runs on that inner child. So as 30-year-olds, we're saying like, I want love, I want partnership, I want this, when it's really like our 7-year-old self that's like, I need love, I need to be seen by my parents, and we're just playing out all of that as
Hmm.
adults.
Yeah.
And that shifted everything for me because I think for the first time I felt empowered to make a change. I had seen in my family for generations it play out where men wouldn't stay. There was a lot of alcoholism, there was a lot of single mothers. And I was like, that's my path. It's just going to happen. That's what happens to us. That was my story. And it was happening. And I'm like, you see, it's happening. And then when I like tapped into my inner child, and she was so angry, and I connected with her, asked what she needed, and it was simple things. It was like, I need you to listen to me. I don't care about everybody else. You're not listening to me. And I was like, okay, okay, here we go. And it's just changed my life. So I'm really grateful for inner child work.
Yeah, I'm grateful for you doing that, and when you go through tough times like that, I think you shoot off rockets of desire for good things that you want,
Mhm.
so you shot out a lot of good rockets and you're in a great place now. And you mentioned the subconscious. 95% of our life is our subconscious doing
Mhm.
the work. Only 5% is our conscious mind.
Right.
So allowing that subconscious mind to work. And yeah, I mean, I had a moment with my inner child where he was talking to me like, you need to listen. You have things to do that I want to do,
Oh.
right? The inner child wants to do. And it's really powerful when you listen. And I'd always been told like, meditate, go to your happy place. But lately, what I've found is really helpful is it's called an anchor point, and an anchor point of when I was a kid, like happy with my inner child.
Mhm.
And I was bouncing around in this like kind of like space suit kind of thing, but it was attached to the ceiling. And like
Mhm.
I would bounce around to all my family members. And I remember them being so happy and smiling. And every time I go to that anchor point, I get more clear about, the people and what was happening. And it's like to have that place to go to is really helpful for the inner
Mhm.
child work, because I can go there and I feel him and what he would want to do and how happy he is. And then it makes me want to, do things in my day that suffice him and, make him feel good. And I think when we're living out of that place with an open heart and our brains are connected with our hearts, it's like we're unlimited to what we can create and do. And I'm really grateful for that work. And I'm glad, you do that work and you're on a good path and inspiring, a lot of people to realize that we're unlimited. It doesn't matter where we came from, what are our circumstances. We have the power to think a
Mhm.
thought greater than our environment. And it starts with that. And if you can do that, you can do anything,
Mhm.
because, as you know, thoughts become things and we're powerful creators. So when we tap into that, we're unlimited.
Yes. Yes. Period.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Thomas. I am again so grateful that
Thank you.
you came out to New York, spent the day with us, and for being vulnerable and talking about all of these things, especially for our lovely community.
Thank
And we'd love to connect with you guys. We would love to hear your thoughts. If you guys have any questions for us, feel free to drop them in the comments. And we want to, stay connected and continue to find ways to support and work with each other.
you. Yeah. Thank you so much. a lot of light and love for you, and really grateful for all the work you're doing, the community you're creating, the safety, the protection, and the love that you've created around you and this community is profound, and it's inspiring. I definitely want to keep bringing that everywhere I go too, and I just want to really thank you, from the bottom of my heart. It's really great to be around this kind of energy. So
I'm
thank
so
you.
grateful for you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
love.
Hmm.
And we'll see you guys next time. I'm sure Tommy will be back soon.
Def-
So stay in touch and thank you guys.
Thank you.